Welcome to the Summer Art Academy at the Knoxville Museum of Art. I'm Donna Anderson, and today we're going to do part 3 of Art Extravaganza. And this particular session is geared toward 5 to 6-year-olds. But if you're a little older, feel free to go ahead and experiment. You just need to make it a little more complicated, perhaps, than a 5-year-old. We're going to be doing artwork that will capitalize on the different things that we've done this week. We've talked about outline, we've talked about wax resist, we've talked about bleed, we've talked about outline, different kinds of lines. So we'll be thinking about that while we're working. So if you're ready, let's go. Okay, we're going to start with our black marker that we used before, our water-based marker, and we're going to use our white crayons. And we're going to create a piece that uses just some shapes. So we're using circles here. And to do that, you first need to use your white crayon, and you can make a big circle here, and you can't see it, can you? We'll make a smaller one here. We'll make some little ones around here. And we'll make a line going this way. Now, when you're working on a piece and using shapes, you want shapes that relate to each other. And when I talk about them relating to each other, you've got curves in a circle, don't you? And although these are straight lines, these are curved lines. So when you talk about related shapes, you remember in your family, probably your sister and you, your brother and you may look a little bit alike. Well, you're related. So you should look a little bit alike. Well, when you talk about related shapes, it's kind of the same. They look alike. So if I was going to use squares, I would use sharp angles. But this, everything's going to be soft and kind of turned around. Okay, so I've got my white areas. Now I'm going to put some circles with my marker. And if your marker's not working really well, have another one handy. Maybe you had the top off of that one too long. We'll make some lines that go through here. Make that a little bit darker. We'll make some more circles going this way. We'll maybe have some lines. This could be like out in space, couldn't it? Be like stars and moons and planets. And when you see stars from a distance, they don't have pointed edges, do they? They're kind of round. So I'll make another one here. And we'll make another curve going this way. So you see that my shapes relate to each other. I'll make this one here. I'll make this one here. All right. Now I'm going to use a brush that already has the water in it, but you can have a brush that has, that you can use water with, and you can use a brush like this, and then just dip it in the water and dip it in the paint. But I'm going to use one that has the water inside, just to save a little time and to make it a little easier for you to see and a little faster. So we're going to take first and go over, I'm going to squeeze it a little bit to get some water. Get a little puddle there. And then I'm going to go over the lines that I drew. Now this is a kind of a wide brush. And if you'll notice where I've got the white crayon, it's resisting the water. So you can see where the white crayon was right there. And if I go around this, and make it bleed. Oh, that's nice. Look how that works right there. And you want to fill up as much of the page, well, not as much as possible, but you want to fill up different areas of the page. Like it's kind of blank right here, and I could actually brush over that some more and make it a little bit darker than just white. And then here, And you can see where my white crayon was through here. So if I just brush across that some more, you'll be able to see where I made the circle and the lines with the white crayons. So it overlaps too. That's another one of our words, overlapping. What does overlapping mean? Okay, if it's side by side, it's like that. But if it overlaps, it goes on top, okay? All right, so now I have all these nice little areas. Now before I work on this again, I want to let it dry, okay? Because if you try to work on it right now with it all wet, then it would be a little bit of a problem. So I'm going to let that one dry, and we'll just move it back here. And while it's drying, I'm going to work on this one. This one I've already done the bleeding, and you can see where the bleed lines are. And I've used some of the sticks, color sticks, these, to work on it. And as we talked about the first day, if you just kind of scribble and scribble close together, you have some white areas that are interesting to look at. If you just color it solid, that's okay, you can do that, but it's not as interesting to look at if you color and leave a little space between it. It gives it a more interesting look for your viewer. And your viewer is who you're doing it for, correct? You're going to make some designs that you're going to kind of tell a story to a person. So this one is kind of a planetary theme. And as we do this, we're leading the people or the eyes of the viewer around the paper. So that's why I've got some red going this way, and then it goes this way. And you'll look at it, I'm making it a little bit darker so it shows up a little better. And it also makes a difference if you're using a dark color or a light color. So I have these darker colors here on top of this. Now I can go back and put some yellow in, and look how that makes that purple line pop up. And I also want to put it in a different place. You want to lead the person's eye around the artwork. So I'm going up through here, and we don't want them to go off the page. So I'm thinking I may put some more in here, and then maybe go down this side a little bit. And then I can even come back around and go up this line, so that the eye is being led around the piece of artwork as you're working on it. Now I can use a darker blue in here. So as you continue to work on it, look at how much more there is to look at. The darker and the lighter blue kind of bounce off each other. I can put some of the darker blue on top of the lighter blue. It'll make it see-through. The lighter blue will show through. Okay, it gets more complicated as we go. Put this here, make it closer. And then you can turn it around. Every now and then you probably need to turn it upside down and look at it that way, because you might see something that you didn't see before. So we can put some more of the dark blue in here. Our zigzag lines, remember our zigzag lines from the other day? Now, as we're doing this, you're probably thinking, now why did she put that there? Did she plan to put that there? Well, as an artist, you kind of tend to make decisions, and you make those decisions on what you see. And so I see that I may want some more darker blue there, and I want it darker than that. So I will just press down a little harder. And I want it to have some life to it, so I'm making it so that you see some white areas between. I can even outline these red pieces And look how that makes that look different than it does over here. They look a little bit lonely over there. So I think I'm going to put some more circles around them here. Now another thing that you can use if you have these at home are watercolor pencils. And here's some watercolor pencils. And you can usually tell the difference between a watercolor pencil and a regular color pencil. It does say watercolor on it, but watercolor pencils usually have this little cap on the end. And that's so that you'll know the difference. So I'm going to take, I have some blue and some red and some yellow. So I think I'm going to take this green. And I'm going to use this green just a little bit, maybe with some dotted lines. We used dotted lines before. And as I put these dotted lines through here, since it's a watercolor pencil, what do you think I'm going to do with that? Ah, yep, you're right. I'm going to take one of my brushes and squeeze it a little bit so that I have a little bit of water. And look what happens. It begins to bleed a little too, doesn't it? Now, if I take the watercolor pencil and I actually color with it like this, those are really hard lines, aren't they? What do I mean by hard lines? It means like it has kind of a point on it, it's jaggedy, and maybe I don't want it to be hard because circles are kind of soft, aren't they? They've got a soft edge to it. So what I'm going to do is take my water, squeeze it out a little bit, and just kind of brush over that a little. And look what happens. It's like magic. It softens it. It softens that edge. And you can see from what's happening on here now and what I showed you at the beginning, this picture has changed a lot. It's beginning to look more and more complex. There's more things to look at. There are more areas that are filled in. Let's turn it again. Let's look a little bit that way. I turn it this way. Ah, this is pretty empty over here. What if we take some of our green and go out this way? And then maybe put it in here. Why don't I go around it like this? Make a spiral. I kind of like that. And then I can go back with my brush again and blend it. It softens it a little bit. Have a softer line there. I use a bigger brush. Still has a little bit of the black in it from where we did the bleeding. Okay. What about over here? What about over here in that corner? Let's turn it up this way. So up here in this corner, I'm going to take this pencil again and make the scribbledy lines so it leaves some area in there. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge of my paper. Sometimes I kind of like to leave a little bit of a white border. So it's about the width of your finger right there. Then I'm going to go back with my brush and soften that. Now look, I still have those areas that are interesting to look at, but now it looks like it all goes together. And I can let that go all the way down. Now this was this, remember? So it doesn't blend. But the watercolor pencil, this, that would blend. So I could have a little more color there if I want. So this could still have some more things done to it. I could continue to work on it. I could put it away for a day and come back to it. I can go back and do these circles to make these stand out a little more. Remember we did that earlier? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to make your whole picture work together so that somebody will look at it. They will look at all of it. You can lead the eye around the page. And I could stop there, but probably, not right now, but probably I would work on it a little bit over here. We turn it upside down again. Get it this way. This area still, I think, needs a little more. Maybe right here, maybe right there. And turn it this way. So there are all different ways that you can turn it. Now maybe it's finished and maybe it's not. But yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine, and I hope it doesn't. I hope you decide what you want it to look like. You can start the way that we started, like with this one. Now that this is dry, I could go back with my colored pencil. I could start coloring in some areas. And this could maybe just be cool colors. And what are the cool colors? Blues and greens, sometimes purples. And as you can see, this one becomes more and more interesting also. So we're going to take a break. I want you to get your piece of paper, start with your white crayon, go in with your black marker, get your paintbrush then, and make some bleed, and then let it dry, and then you can go at it yourself with some color sticks, some watercolor pencils, and we'll make a new artwork. Okay, again, we're going to start with our marker this time and our white crayon. And we need subject matter. So our subject matter this time is going to be our hand. Hand's a great subject matter because it's always with you. You can put it in any position you want it. You can make it say, I love you. You can make it say, you, and talk with a mean voice. You can say, all right, and have thumbs up. But for this particular picture, we're just going to trace our hands with them flat, and we're going to let them overlap, okay? So this is what we're going for right now. And so we're going to go and put our hand on the paper. Now don't put it right in the middle because, I mean, people are going to look right in the middle the first time anyway. And remember, we just talked about leading the person's eye around your picture. So let's start down here. And I'm going to start with the white. So I'm going to go around my hand with the white crayon. And you're not going to be able to see this, are you? For right now, because white on white is hard to see. You might be able to see it if I tip it a little bit. Or not. Now I'm going to turn it all the way over to the other side and put my hand on it again. And draw around it. And if you don't draw it exactly, if it gets a little bit loopy, it doesn't matter. You're going to draw on top of that too. Okay, this time I'm going to turn it just about a quarter of a turn, and I'm going to put my hand, touch the edge with my thumb, and put my hand here. And go around it again. And then I've got one here and here and here, and now I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to put one here. And draw it. All right, now I'm going to take my marker And I'm just going to put my fingers out like this and draw around it. Now you might get it on the edges of your fingers, and if you do, that's okay, because this is a washable marker and it will wash off. And when you're washing your hands and singing happy birthday so that you're washing for 20 seconds, this will all come out with the soap. So we have it here, and I think I need a marker that's a little darker. That might be the one I was using before. And then I think I'm just going to put one here. And I'm going to let it overlap a little bit there. And what's overlap? That means you're going on top of it. So see how it overlaps those fingers? And I forgot to do this part right here. All right, we let it go all the way out to the edge. Okay, now I think I'm going to let my fingers go up that way and let just my hand be down here. And if you'll notice, I'm going all the way out to the edge where my wrist is too. And around my thumb and up this side. Okay. You see I'm getting all kinds of little edges, but don't worry about that. That won't matter. Okay, now I'm going to put it here. Now if it smudges a little, that's okay too, because what are we going to do? We're going to make it bleed with our water, aren't we? Okay. Okay, it's getting a little busy in here. One more maybe right there. But busy's okay too. All right. Now we have all of these lines, and I think that if we take our brush, here's my brush, squeeze a little water out, and go over this, you'll notice that where we did our white crayon before, you can see that too. So I like to go over each line that I've drawn. And if you use a little bit wider brush like this, you get kind of a nice line. Notice where I did the crayon, it's showing up, the white crayon. And since there's more white crayon in here, I'm just going to brush that and attach it. Look at that. Cool. Have your bleed lines. Now, if you'll notice on this big one, what I did was use paint to go in there. And I used these paints. You've probably got watercolors. Yours might be rectangular. And it's got its own little brush with it. And you can start with whatever you want. If you'll notice in these paints, the warm colors are on this side, and the cool colors are on that side. And we've talked about warm and cool colors before. The warm colors are like the sun, like fire. The cool colors are like the sky, water, like grass. So when we start this picture, what I'd like you to do is choose one warm color. And let me get a brush. And I'm going to choose this red. And squeeze a little water in it. If you're using a brush that you dip it in, get your brush wet first, then put it in the paint and get a little puddle there. And as you get a little puddle there, just kind of put it on both sides of the brush and soak up some of that water. We're going to move that over here. And I'm going to start just on one side. So I'm going to put a little bit of this color here. And I'm going to squeeze a little more water out so that it's not quite so dark. And I'm just going to kind of color that thumb in. And as I get the water out a little more, it kind of fades away. And you do want it to fade a little bit. Okay, now remember we talked about leading the eye around the paper. So I'm going to move it over here to this side and put some more red right there. Since we already have red on the brush, we might as well go ahead and use it over here. In fact, I can go down to this, like this thumb here. And then squeeze some more water or get some more water on your brush and make it kind of fade out a little bit. And then we're going to put some red on this side too. Put some more water on it so it kind of blends. And we can make it a bigger area than that. So you're adding your color on this picture by using paint. And it can be watercolor, it can be tempera paint. You can always make watercolor out of a heavier paint by just adding more water. So there we go. All right, now I think I'm going to use some more of the warm colors and use this orange. You'll look right here. I'm going to make a little puddle in it. So you would like put your paintbrush in the water and then put a little puddle there and just kind of move it around in it to get the paint into the water so that you have a colored water that you can use. And I'm going to make some more orange. Now you don't always have to do it this way. Once you have a little more experience in painting and you know much more what you're going to do, you can make your own decisions. But right now, I'm kind of making them for you and kind of leading you that direction so that you get a little bit of experience in putting the paint down. I'm going to get some more of my orange and put it over here. And it can overlap. Colors can overlap just like shapes and spaces can overlap. So we'll put some more orange there, and I can actually put some orange up here. And I can go all the way to the edge of the paper. See how they blend into each other. They kind of bleed too a little bit. Okay, now we're going to go with our other warm color, our yellow. And although we just use the orange, with a regular brush, you can just clean the brush off in the water. With these brushes, they're really nice because you can just keep going with it. Here's some yellow. And we'll still put it right next to our other warm colors. And I love the way that the white crayon makes the paint disappear there, kind of. And it's because it's a resist. It's a wax resist. When you have wax down there, then the water won't adhere to the paper because the wax is there. So you have to push down really hard. Then I'm going to put some more yellow over here on this edge. Okay. So I have my warm colors, and my hands are starting to show up. Okay, now I can choose some cool colors. So what are my cool colors? My cool colors are green and blue. And so I can have this turquoise blue. Let's see, let's start with green. We'll use some green first. Now you would need to clean off your brush as you go. I'm going to put some green in here. Now, I'm putting it right next to the red. Does anybody know why I would do that? Red and green are complementary colors. And when you use some green next to the red, it makes the green look greener and the red look redder. Now, an example of that would be at Christmas time. At Christmas time, you see a lot of red and green next to each other, and they just really make the colors pop out. Okay, I'm going to move this around this way. Remember, we're turning things so we can see them in different directions. I'm going to put some more green here next to this red. I'm going to let it go on over there. Just kind of fade out. And then I'm going to put one more green over here. Although there's not any red real close, it still is kind of nice. And I'm going to fill this area in here with green. Now, if you're at home and you're on the table, you probably need to have some newspaper or some other kind of paper under you. But if your mom's around, she's probably told you where you can paint. But you don't want to get paint all over your mom's nice furniture, for sure. Okay, so we have our warm yellow and red and orange, and now we have some green. And I think that I'm going to put some blue, some dark blue. So here is some dark blue. I think I'm going to put it over here next to this yellow. Now the actual complement of yellow would be purple or violet. Purple, it's the street name. Violet is its real name. But I only have this dark blue, so that's going to work for me. And then I'm going to put some more, maybe right here. It doesn't matter if it's the complement or not, but it does make it show up a lot better if it is the complement. And the complement of blue is orange, so I have a little orange there. See how it kind of makes it pop out? And in this particular set of colors, this is a turquoise blue, so I'm going to use this too. And put some turquoise maybe over here. And maybe over here. So you see a little bit different colors. So now I've got warm and cool colors just almost everywhere. What do I need right here? Maybe some blue, some dark blue. But as you do this, you can make those decisions on your own. It doesn't have to look just like mine. When you look at it, you can make those decisions based on what you know about the pictures that you're doing. Okay, so now I have all of these different colors there. Now, what else can I do to make this stand out a little? Well, what I've done on this big one is I've gone back with marker and made some different designs. If you look at it this way, it might be easier. I've made some different designs, and I've kind of outlined a specific hand, and a specific hand here, and a specific hand here. And again, we're following the eye around, because you want the people to look at your whole picture. You don't want them just to look at one little spot. So you want them to look at everything because it's interesting. And these white lines also kind of lead them around. Okay, here I used another color marker to outline my hand. And you can also go back with the watercolor pencils. So I have a blue and a green watercolor pencil. So since I was doing the turquoise here in the center, I can take and, even while it's wet, I can use the watercolor pencil on it. If you're using your markers or other kinds of pencils, you probably need to wait until it dries. But see, I can take just the shape and outline around the shape. I don't have to worry about whether it's the hand shape or not. If it's just a shape that I like, I can outline around that and kind of fill it in. And it ends up being an interesting looking picture that somebody would like to look at and maybe make up their own story about. I could even go back with the dark green in some of these areas And if you'll notice, the center of the picture is beginning to have a lot more things going on than the outside edge. So that when you finish doing this and it dries, then you end up with a picture like this. So I hope you have fun with this, and I want you to think about how things look, about what colors you're going to use, about warm and cool colors, and about how you can lead your eye around the picture so that they look at your whole picture and not just one little area. So have fun with it. Okay, so we've had quite a week, haven't we? We've done a lot of stuff, and I want to show you a few of the different things, just review with you. The first day we did faces, and we did some bleed, and we did some colored pencil, color crayon. We also did some collage, where we used some colored papers to glue them down, and learned how to use a glue stick. On the second day, we started using the bleed again. Building on that, we used wax resist on this one. And if you'll remember, here are the two that we worked on. And before that, we even did some practice by using our wax crayon and did our different designs and checked to see if it worked. And then today, we worked with our hands. So we ended up with these two. So you've had quite a week. You did really well. And I want you to use those skills. And this time, I want you to take all of the pictures that you did this week and either put them on your refrigerator, put them on the wall in your room, put them in the hallway. And every time you think about it, go, would you like to see my art show? And you could have all of your artwork up on the wall. And every time they come down the hall, they can look at it. And you can also go to each piece and go, let me tell you about this. And you can tell them about what you were thinking about, whether it was maps when we were doing these, and this kind of looks like a map, and whether you were thinking about warm and cool colors here, and whether you were thinking about how you were going to use colored paper to make a collage in this one, and how you were going to make the features, the face, the eyes bigger, the nose bigger, the mouth a little crooked, the head turned to the side. Tell them about your process. And you are an artist, and you did a great job this week. So thank you. Hope to see you again soon.